Welcome to this video about the rural-urban fringe. This is part of the urban environment topic in Unit 2. And if you remember, we've been studying London and we've been thinking about urban change over time in London. Now, what does the rural-urban fringe mean? What does that mean? So let's just break that down for a moment. So rural is countryside. Urban, as we know, is cities and built-up areas. So if you imagine, if this was London, the city, and in the middle there's the city of London and Canary Wharf and the Thames flows through it, and these are the outer bits that are less visited. Eventually you come to the edge of London. So London is massively urban, a very urban area, and then round the edge, let's use green to denote the countryside, is the rural areas. And the bit here, all around London, and it goes all around the edge, is what we would call, where they join, where the urban meets the rural, is the rural urban fringe. It's the edge of London, and it's where the city meets the countryside. Now, this, as London has grown over many decades and hundreds of years, to start with, it would have been tiny, and then over time more and more people moved to London because there was business there and it was happening, and the city got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it grew out and out and out, and we call that urban sprawl. So if you sprawl on the sofa, you've heard that word before, it kind of means spreads out. So if you're sprawling all over the sofa, it kind of means you're spread all over the sofa. And urban sprawl is when basically the city spreads out. And London has absolutely done that. And it's spread out and out and out. And actually now in our country, we've come up with some ways to sort of stop London growing any further. We've protected the land around the edge. We've called it a green belt, so that London doesn't keep spreading and just absorbing the area around it. In other cities around the world, cities in other countries, the cities are just growing, but we are controlling it in this country. Okay, we need to talk about the fact that at the edge of the city, at the edge of London, this rural urban fringe, this area, we would say, is under pressure. Okay, so all of this area here is under pressure. But why is it under pressure? And that's something we need to be able to understand and explain. Why do lots and lots of people want this land? This land is under pressure. So let's say, for example, around the edge of London, what kinds of things do we see on the edge of cities? And you might see them on the edge of cities, you might see them on the edge of Weymouth. So you might get, in these areas, some, if they can get the land to do it, you might get some housing. Now, why is housing better here than maybe over here or here? Now, there's good things about all those areas, but there's something rather special about living on the rural-urban fringe. What's good about being here instead of here? Well, this part here, if you're here instead of here, you're going to have less traffic, pollution, crime, etc., than the city. So if you could get to live here instead of being in the middle of the city, you get less traffic, less crime, less pollution, nice view, maybe there'll be some green areas nearby. You're going to feel really healthy. So that's all good. But what about living here instead, because that's much less traffic. Why is this better than living well away from London? What's the benefit of living here, of still being near London? Have a think. Okay, perfect. So this also means you are near jobs in London. So you can literally live the dream. You can live here. You can ideally get on a train. So you can make your way into the centre of London, go to Canary Wharf, go and work in a banking office, earn lots and lots of money, get on the train, come home, back to your house here. Children go to a local school, not much pollution, not much crime, and you're able to access all the amazing job opportunities in London. And that's why people would love to be building houses here. Okay, that's one. Let's have a think of something else. How about you could have something like a retail park, so, or a business. Let's put a warehouse. So this is a place. Imagine if you've had a delivery from someone like Amazon. Why would they love to be able to put a warehouse right here, like a big storage area to keep all of their bits and pieces? Why is that a good place? Why is that a good place to put a warehouse? And I'm just going to draw something around the edge of London. Do you know what it is? It's something that runs pretty much through the rural urban fringe, roughly. And then there's a bit that goes that way called the M3. And there's another one that goes that way, and various others. This is the M25, which you may or may not know as a major motorway. And the M25 runs all the way around the edge of London. And if you wanted to go from here to here, you wouldn't want to go through the middle of London. You get stuck in traffic jams. You will go around the edge on the M25. Well, you may also get stuck in a traffic jam, ironically, but hopefully not too often. Okay, so why would it be good to have a warehouse there? Okay, so a warehouse there means you are near the city, where you're going to have lots of customers and you're going to do lots of deliveries. Easy access. So this is great because you've got the motorway, the M25, so your lorries can just go on there and then zoom around there and go that way, or zoom around here and then head into London at the end, we'll go around here and get into North London. Great access. You have space. So if you want to build a massive, great big warehouse, you will not find an area, very unlikely you'd find the area in the centre of London. It's too built up. But on the edge, there's space, there's land, there's room to grow. So this area here on the edge of London is very, very much under pressure, is very much in demand for roads, for warehouses, for housing, airports. Heathrow is an airport right on the London's rural urban fringe. Theme parks. If you've been to Thorpe Park, it's right there. It's right on the edge of London. So all of those customers can come out, have a great time at the Thorpe theme park, and then go back in. Or you would come up the M3, go to the theme park, great big car park, enjoy yourself, and go back. So let's just review. This is the rural urban fringe, the bit where the urban meets the rural area. It's really in demand because it has space, it has nice environment, it has great access with the M25 motorway, but you're still near London for jobs, you're still near London for customers if you're a business. Okay, one last thing. We're just going to introduce the idea of commuter settlements. Okay, so what happens? We have London, and if you know anyone who's lived in London or would like to live in London, I don't know why I'm using dollar signs, it costs so much money to live in London. So you may decide that you want to live a bit further away, but on a train line. So maybe you live in Basingstoke, or maybe you live in Reading, or maybe you live in Woking. So these are the kinds of places that you might live. Maybe you live over here or over here. If you can get somewhere that's on a train line, that is great news for you. So you can have cheaper housing, jump on the train in the morning, 45 minutes into London, work, earn London wages, interesting jobs, great opportunities, and back you go. Now, these commuter settlements, which is what they are places where people commute. So someone who goes in and out of into somewhere else to work is a commuter. They have cheaper houses than London. They are generally on a train line, because then you don't need to drive your car into central London and pay to park and pay the congestion charge. But it can cause some problems. House prices go up. So the minute there's a good train line, it becomes more desirable, and therefore the house prices in those areas go up, which is not great, particularly if you live in that area and then you can't afford to live there anymore, or your children can't afford. And the other sort of slightly unusual one is that, well, it's not unusual, but because people tend to work, so if you live in Basingstoke and you go into London every day and you want to buy someone a nice present, you're probably going to buy it while you're in London at work and then come home for the evening. So shops lose money as people shop in London near their work. So there's just some positives and negatives there. So commuter settlements outside of London where people live, come into London to work and go home in the evening. And that's quite a feature, and it's a way that London is affecting the area around.